My sister stole my only car, destroyed it 3 hours away, then ran to the police to make me the criminal. She left me paying an $11,400 loan on a wreck and told them I had given her permission after I texted no. I didn't argue. I handed the detective my phone, and one word turned her report into a confession. My name is Daniel. I'm 32. I work in product marketing in Charlotte, and Jessica is my younger sister by 4 years. For most of my adult life, that math has meant I had a job and she had a problem. The pattern started when she dropped out of community college her second semester. She moved into a studio in South End and called me from the leasing office because the landlord wanted a cosigner. I was 25. I co-signed. 3 months later, she missed rent. I covered it. 3 months after that, she missed it again. By the time I stopped counting, I'd paid 14 straight months at $1,650 a month. Then it was the credit cards. Capital One sent a final notice the summer she turned 26. $8,400, charged off, headed for collections. I cleared it on a Saturday morning while she watched TV on my couch. She thanked me by asking if she could borrow my Netflix. Last spring, my friend Marcus, who runs a small marketing agency uptown, hired her as a junior account coordinator. He did it because I asked him to. I had told him she was finally ready. She lasted 6 weeks, 3 no-call, no shows in a row. He fired her on a Friday. Through all of it, my parents had 2 lines. My father would shrug and say, "That's what older brothers do." My mother would smile that soft, immovable smile of hers and say, "Family forgives, honey." That's how we built this house. They called me the safety net. I called it the trap. The night Marcus let her go, she left me 3 voicemails. 11:02 to 11:31 on March 14th. 4 minutes and 12 seconds, total. The first one was crying. The second one was screaming. The third one was the one I never deleted. In it, she said, very clearly, with no tears in her voice, "I will go to mom and dad. I will go to anyone, and I will tell them whatever I have to until you are the bad guy." 2 weeks later, my mother texted me at work to say Jessica had apologized in her own way. Family forgives. The message ended. Jessica hadn't said a word to me, and my mother knew it. I didn't reply. I didn't delete the voicemails either. I backed them up to the cloud that same week. 3 audio files, 4 minutes and 12 seconds, sitting untouched in a folder for almost 6 months. I'm glad I kept them. That Wednesday afternoon at 3:42, Jessica texted me. She said she had a job interview Thursday morning and asked if she could borrow the Civic. Just the morning. Just there and back. My client meeting was at 6. I'd been preparing the pitch for 2 weeks. I texted her back, "Sorry, I need it for the 6 a.m. client meeting. Try Uber." The little checkmarks turned blue at 3:43. Read. Then nothing. No, okay. No, got it. No thanks anyway. No counteroffer, no irritated emoji, not even a thumbs down. For Jessica, that was strange. Jessica argued. Jessica negotiated. Jessica told me my reasons were lame and asked again from a different angle. Silence from Jessica was its own kind of weather. I should have noticed. I should have walked downstairs and checked the kitchen drawer that night. I didn't. I closed my laptop, microwaved leftovers, and went to bed early because I needed to be sharp at 6. She read the message at 3:43. Then she went quiet. Thursday, 5:50 in the morning. I came down with my laptop bag already on my shoulder. The driveway was empty. I stood at the front door for maybe 5 seconds without moving. The kitchen drawer was the second one to the right of the sink. The spare key had lived in that drawer for 2 years. Black plastic fob, scratch on the back from when I dropped it. The drawer was open about an inch. The key was gone. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, timestamped 4:11 that morning, had to grab it. Family emergency, will explain. I called her. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I called my mother. She didn't answer. I called my father. He didn't answer. Nobody answered for 36 hours. I made it to my client meeting in an Uber that cost me $41 and showed up sweating. I told my boss my car had been stolen. At the time, I thought I was lying. There was no family emergency. There was an Airbnb in Asheville. It was past 3 in the morning by the time Trooper Rez finished giving me the headlines. The Civic on its side at mile marker 84. My sister, on her way to Mission Hospital, her version of the truth already on the record. The rest of that call mattered more. I asked him, "Did she say I gave her the keys?" A pause. Then, "She said you said it was fine." I told her no on Wednesday. I have the text. Rhea's voice changed, not warmer, just slower. He said there were two ways this could go. Civil matter, her insurance, her ticket, my deductible. Or theft, if she'd taken it without permission. North Carolina had a statute, and the owner had a window to file. He said the police couldn't decide which version this was. Only I could. His badge number was 46812. The case number was a string I wrote on the back of a Wells Fargo envelope. I sat on the edge of the bed after we hung up. I didn't know yet that Jessica had already started building a different version of this story. I just knew Reyes had handed me a choice, and whatever I picked, my parents would never forgive me for it. He said it was on me to call it what it was. Saturday morning, Mission Hospital, room 217. Jessica was propped up in bed, with a pink patient wristband on her right wrist, a sling around her left shoulder, and an IV stand beside her with nothing running through it. Her phone was face down on the blanket. Untouched, she saw me in the doorway and tilted her head. "Hey," she said. "Don't be mad." I asked her, calmly, "Did you take the car without asking?" She smiled. Then she said, "You said I could borrow it sometimes." I had never said that. Not once. My parents walked in within the hour. My mother went straight to Jessica and started crying before she'd even seen the sling. My father set a cardboard cup of cafeteria coffee on the rolling tray, $4.75, and turned to me with his mouth already in the shape of a sentence. "She's hurt," he said. "Don't be a monster." In the next 20 minutes, my mother said the words "family forgives" 3 separate times. Once while wiping Jessica's hair back, once on the phone with my aunt, and once when she looked at me and said, very softly, "Daniel, family forgives. That's how we got through your grandfather." When I asked Jessica again, in front of all of them, whether she had taken the car, she just smiled. I drove a rental back to Charlotte that Saturday night and called State Farm first thing Monday. The adjuster's name was Karen. She pulled the report from the highway patrol while we were on the phone. Total loss. The Civic was done. Kelly Blue Book on a 2019 Civic with my mileage was 24,300. My loan balance was 11,400. My deductible was 1,200. Then Karen got quiet. She said, "Sir, your policy lists you as the only authorized driver. Was your sister authorized to operate the vehicle that night?" I said no. "Did you give her permission verbally or in writing?" "No." She told me, in the careful voice of a woman who has said this exact sentence many times, that without a police report classifying the use of the vehicle as theft, my sister's accident fell into what she called a gray area. They might cover part. They might not cover the loan gap. The 11,400 that part was probably mine. I asked her how to make it not a gray area. She said, "That's between you and the police, sir." I sat at my kitchen island for a long time after I hung up. $11,400. That was the number sitting on top of the silence Jessica had been counting on. That was the cost of the words "family forgives." It was Sunday at 6:52 when she struck again. I just didn't know yet. Monday morning, 9:14. I was rinsing my coffee mug when the doorbell rang. 2 CMPD officers were standing on my porch. The one in front was Officer Bell. The one behind was a younger guy whose name I didn't catch because my brain was already half a step behind. Officer Bell asked if my name was Daniel and if I was the brother of Jessica. I said yes. He told me there'd been a complaint filed against me Sunday evening. My sister had reported that during a hospital visit on Saturday, I had grabbed her by the arm hard enough to leave marks, raised my voice in a manner that frightened her, and made statements that, in her words, made her feel unsafe. He said he was there to take my statement. He handed me a business card. Detective M. Aguilar, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, Investigations. The complaint number was 8 digits. The timestamp on the bottom said Sunday, 1948. Sunday, 7:48 in the evening. That was almost exactly an hour after my mother had called me, panicked, to tell me Jessica was, in her words, out of control because of the way I was treating her. She had wanted me to come over and talk it through. She hadn't wanted me to come over. She had wanted to know where I was. I gave Officer Bell my statement on my own porch with my coffee going cold on the counter behind me. I told him the truth, including the part about the missing key and the Wednesday text. He wrote it all down. He said Detective Aguilar would be in touch. When they pulled out of my driveway, I sat down on the front step. She had filed before me. She thought she'd already won. I sat at my kitchen island Monday night with my phone in my hand and Jessica's thread open. I scrolled past Wednesday's message read, replied to, refused. I kept scrolling. That's when I saw it. Tuesday, 11:17 in the morning. A text from Jessica I had never opened. I don't know how I missed it. Maybe my phone was on silent. Maybe I was in a meeting. Maybe she had typed it for somebody else and her thumb landed on the wrong contact, and she realized too late. It said, already booked the Asheville Airbnb for Fry. Son, gonna grab the Civic wed night. Don't be weird about it. I read it 3 times. Tuesday. She had booked the trip on Tuesday. A full day before she ever asked. Then, I went into Google Photos. There was a shared album from 3 months back, something she had added me to and I had forgotten about, because that's how Jessica's life worked. In casual little overshares she never bothered to clean up. The album was called Ash Trip. Inside it, sitting between 2 selfies, was a screenshot of an Airbnb booking confirmation. $312. Friday through Sunday. Timestamp on the screenshot, Tuesday, 11:15 in the morning. 2 minutes before she had texted me to grab the Civic Wednesday night. She had not asked. She had announced. She had booked the trip a full day before she ever asked to borrow the car. I went into my voicemails next. I scrolled past months of nothing work, dentist, a wrong number, until I hit March 14th. 3 files. 11:02, 11:19, 11:31, total runtime, 4 minutes and 12 seconds. I had backed them up 6 months ago and not opened them since. I tapped the second one and let it run. It was the one where she had stopped crying. About a minute and a half in, her voice flattened into something I had not heard since we were kids, the tone she used when she had been caught and had decided to be cruel instead of sorry. She said it slowly, like she wanted me to remember. I will go to Mom and Dad. I will go to anyone. And I will tell them whatever I have to until you are the bad guy. I sat at the island and listened to the sentence twice. 6 months ago, she had told me exactly what she was going to do. She had given me the script. I had it on tape. I got up and walked to the drawer where I kept the office supplies. I pulled out 3 pads of sticky notes. Blue, yellow, pink. I came back to the island, opened my laptop, and made a new folder on the desktop. I named it Case, Civic. Inside, I made 3 subfolders. Texts, voicemails, police, report. Then I started laying sticky notes across the granite. Blue notes for Jessica. Tuesday, booked the Airbnb. Wednesday, faked the ask. Thursday, before dawn, took the car. Friday night, crashed the car. Saturday morning, lied to my face in front of our parents. Sunday at 6:52 in the evening, filed first. Yellow notes for my parents. Saturday at the hospital, backing her play. Sunday evening, calling me to ask where I was. Monday morning, not returning my call. Pink notes for the rest of the world. Highway Patrol case number. State Farm claim number. CMPD complaint number. Detective Aguilar's business card on the corner of the counter, where I had dropped it the morning the officers came. 8 beats from her side. 3 from my parents, 3 from the people who didn't know us. By midnight, I had every text screenshotted into a PDF, every voicemail exported as an audio file, every photo of the empty kitchen drawer, with its timestamp pinned. The folder on my desktop was 41 items deep. I had spent 10 years protecting her. In one night, I built the case. I called my cousin Deepa Tuesday morning. She was a paralegal at a personal injury firm in Raleigh, 3 years older than me. The only one in the family who had ever told Jessica no without softening it. I gave her the whole story in 20 minutes. She was quiet for a beat, then walked me through it like a checklist. NC General Statutes Section 14 to 72, she said. To establish auto theft, the state needed to show the vehicle had been taken without the owner's consent. The Tuesday text destroyed the she asked version. The Wednesday refusal destroyed any implied consent version. The March voicemails established pattern of intent. In filing a false police report in North Carolina was a Class 2 misdemeanor. I could request that charge be filed in parallel. She said the address I wanted was 412 Tryon Street. Detective Aguilar's office. The same name on the business card sitting on my counter. Halfway through the call, my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Just come over for dinner. We'll talk this through. Family forgives. I read it out loud to Deepa. There was a long pause on her end. Then she said, Daniel, your parents are going to make you the villain. You ready for that? I thought about the Tuesday text. The Sunday filing. The way Jessica had smiled in that hospital bed. I said, she needs to take responsibility. So do they. Deepa asked if I was ready to be the villain. I said yes. The next morning at 8:30, I walked into the lobby at 412 Tryon Street with a manila folder under my arm. Inside the folder, the Tuesday text, printed, the Wednesday refusal, printed, the Airbnb confirmation, the Buncombe County Highway Patrol report from Friday. My own typed statement, 2 pages. A small flash drive in the inside pocket held 3 audio files from March 14th. The desk officer asked who I was there to see. I gave Detective Aguilar's name. He picked up a phone. 5 minutes later, she came out into the lobby herself. She was shorter than I expected. Mid-40s. Reading glasses pushed up into her hair. She walked me back through a steel door to a small conference room. There was a coffee mug on the table that said World's Okayest Detective. She opened the folder. She read the Tuesday text first, then the Wednesday refusal, then the Airbnb confirmation, then the Buncombe report, then my statement, all the way through. She didn't speak for a long time. When she did, all she said was, "Can I keep the originals?" I said yes. She set my flash drive on top of the folder, lined up the corners, and looked at me like I was the first person who had walked into her office that month carrying receipts instead of feelings. "I'll be in touch by Friday," she said. I walked out of the precinct lighter than I had been in 10 years. 2 weeks later, Aguilar called and asked me to come down to the precinct on a Thursday morning at 10. She said Jessica and my parents would be there too. She used the word coordinated. I got there at 9:45. The hallway outside the interview rooms was the color of a Tuesday: gray cinder block, beige tile, a Pepsi machine humming in the corner like it was bored. I sat on a bench across from room A. Jessica and my parents were already inside. The door was thin enough that a careful listener could catch the shape of the words even if they couldn't catch all of them. 3 minutes in, my mother's voice came through the wall. "This is all a misunderstanding," she said. She'd never lie to a police officer, she just got scared. A pause. Then Aguilar, level. She gave a sworn statement, "Ma'am." Twice. My mother started to cry the way she only cried when she had decided someone else needed to feel guilty. My father, somewhere closer to the door, said something I couldn't quite catch, short, flat, the kind of sentence a man uses when he's already made up his mind to leave the room. Through the wall, I could hear my mother trying to save her favorite child. The door opened a minute later. Aguilar stepped into the hallway. "Daniel," she said. "Come in." Inside, Jessica was sitting at the table in a clean sweater, her hair pulled back. The sling was gone. My mother was beside her, eyes still wet. My father's chair was empty, pushed back at an angle. Aguilar's laptop was open on the table, turned away. She walked me through it for the room. "Just to confirm," she said to Jessica, "on Wednesday afternoon, you asked your brother to borrow the car. He said no. You took it because of a family emergency. Is that right?" Jessica nodded. "Yes." Aguilar turned the laptop around. The screen was filled with one text. Tuesday, 11:17 in the morning. The smiley emoji at the end was bigger than I remembered. "Then can you explain," Aguilar said, "how you booked an Airbnb on Tuesday for a car you didn't ask to borrow until Wednesday?" Jessica's face went the color of paper. My mother leaned forward, fast. She was joking. "She does that. She types things and doesn't mean them. You have to know her. You have to." Aguilar slid the laptop a few inches across the table, gently, until it was angled toward my mother instead of Jessica. "Read it out loud, ma'am. Please." My mother looked at the screen. Her hand came up to her mouth and stayed there. She did not read it out loud. The smiley emoji at the end of that text is what broke my mother. Aguilar didn't push her. She just turned to a fresh page in her notebook and laid it out, plain. "Filing a false police report in North Carolina is a Class 2 misdemeanor," she said. "Combined with the auto theft charge, the DA is going to look at restitution, probation, and likely a plea. We're past misunderstanding." That was when I heard the door behind me. My father had come back. He was standing in the doorway in his Saturday windbreaker, like he just walked in from the parking lot. He looked at me. Not at Jessica. "She's family, Daniel," he said. His voice was lower than I'd ever heard it. "Drop this. Family forgives." I stood up. I picked up my jacket from the back of the chair. I looked at my father, then at my mother, then at Jessica, who was staring at the laptop screen like the smiley emoji was a wound. I said it calm, and I said it clear. She filed a false police report. She needs to take responsibility. So do you. Then I walked past my father and out into the hallway. The Pepsi machine was still humming. I told my parents to take responsibility too. Then I left. 3 months later, Jessica took a plea. $14,000 in restitution, paid out over 3 years. 90 days of probation. The false police report charge was held in abeyance, contingent on her staying clean for the duration. She did not go to jail. She did not need to. The plea did the work. State Farm reopened my claim once the theft report cleared. Between their payout and the restitution schedule, my loan balance went to zero on a Wednesday afternoon in early summer. I closed the loan account on my phone in the parking lot of a grocery store. It took 6 taps. My parents stopped calling after I let 2 of my mother's voicemails go unanswered. There was no fight. There was no dramatic last conversation. They simply ran out of currency. The thing that had kept them in my life for 10 years, the gravity of being needed, had become the thing I refused to provide. I moved into a 1-bedroom in Noda in July. Hardwood floors, a window that faced a coffee roaster, a parking spot that was mine and only mine. I bought a 2019 Mazda 3 inches, a color the dealer called Soul Red. There is one key. It lives in my pocket. Marcus texts me every couple of weeks. "You good?" I always answer the same way. "Yeah." I think about the phrase safety net sometimes. A net is also what keeps somebody from falling. I just never asked, in 10 years of catching her, whose fall I was actually preventing. Maybe the answer was always hers. Into the version of herself she would have had to face if I had ever let her hit the ground. That version is hers to meet now. The phone stays quiet most evenings. That's the part I never knew I needed.